Hi, I'm Sophie Meharry.
I'm Sean Morehart.
And I'm Valley of Fayette.
We're doing a project about the year 1985, the fashion, the writing styles, and the etiquette in particular, for our English 10 class.
We're going to start off with a couple of interesting facts about the year 1985 to give us some background knowledge about our topic before we get into the main focus. In January of 1985, Ronald Reagan took the presidential oath and began his second term as president. He was 73 years old. The world population was 4.8 billion. The median household income in the United States was $23,618. San Francisco defeated Miami in the Super Bowl 38-16. Coca-Cola decided to change its formula, but after only 6 months, it decided to switch back to its original taste. Michael Jackson and about 30 of the best pop artists of the time joined together to perform We Are the World to raise awareness for the spread of AIDS in Africa.
Etiquette is a word used to describe the code of behavior in public. Etiquette varies in different places and times. In 1985, etiquette was much different than it is now. Before, people could be more formal. There were certain clothes that had to be worn to special events. For example, it was inappropriate to wear jeans to a classical concert or theater. It was also inappropriate to cheer at the end of a concert. Only clapping was considered polite. Now it's okay to wear basically anything to a concert, and clapping, cheering, and whistling is completely normal. In 1985, elders were highly respected. If an adult walked into the room, children should offer them a seat. It was impolite to say hi to a teacher, you had to say good morning. Students also called their elders by sir or ma'am. Now students can be more informal around teachers and adults, and can add Miss or Mrs. before the teacher's last name. Some instructors even allow students to call them by their first name. Eating habits also changed a lot. In 1985, if you go to a restaurant, you must put a napkin on your lap and eat with a fork in your left hand and knife in your right hand. Back then, only uneducated people ate with their hands. Now, most people eat food such as burgers, pizzas, ribs, and French fries with their hands. The napkin rule is also becoming forgotten. In addition, with the invention of the internet, people simplified communication etiquette. For instant messaging, people can now use abbreviations when writing to save time, and everyone is familiar with them. 10 years ago, it was impolite to send invitations and thank you notes via email. Now it is perfectly normal. As you may have noticed, etiquette and manners have become less strict because the whole society became less formal and more democratic.
The dress and fashion of 1985 were different than it is today. These two men in this picture are good examples of how the men dressed in 1985. They were from the show Miami Vice, which was a popular police show in 1985. The two main actors were Don Johnson and Philip Michael Thomas, who played Crockett and Tubbs. As you can see, Johnson's shoes have no socks, and he is wearing a t-shirt under his suit, which was very classic 1985 style. Their look is both hip and casual. Also, the layered hair was popular for women in 1985. Many men had a mullet, too. People coined the term about the mullet: business in the front, party in the back. Another popular clothing piece for women in 1985 were leg warmers. Leg warmers became popular thanks to the 1983 movie Flashdance. Leg warmers were stylish, and they kept your legs warm. Overall, the fashion in 1985 is different than it is now, and when we look back, it seems silly. But I bet in another 25 years, people will look back at the fashion that we have today and think that is foolish.
For my portion of the project, I looked at the writing styles and conventions of 1985. I compared 3 different autobiographies written in either 1984 or 1985. Elvis and Me by Priscilla Beaulieu Presley, Iacocca by Lee Iacocca, and Yeager by Chuck Yeager. These 3 autobiographies were extremely popular and well-known in the mid to late 80s, and they're still pretty popular now. During these next few segments, I'll describe each of these pieces in greater detail, and elaborate on the writing styles and conventions implemented in each. Let's start with Elvis and Me. an autobiography by Priscilla Beaulieu Presley with help from Sandra Harmon. Published in 1985, its popularity soared and it became a New York Times #1 bestseller for 2 weeks. It follows the story of a 14-year-old Priscilla who met legendary rock star and actor Elvis Presley while living in Germany. The two fell in love, and when Elvis returned to America, Priscilla came soon after. Priscilla enjoyed herself at Graceland with Elvis and his crew, but soon realized that Elvis's mood was determined by the shape of his career, and everyone else's mood was determined by his. Priscilla was convinced that she was disappointing Elvis, so she willingly let him control her clothes, her hair, and her mannerisms. She compared herself as being Elvis's own Barbie doll. A quote that best sums up Priscilla's struggles with Elvis is printed on the backside of the book. "He taught me everything: how to dress, how to walk, how to apply my makeup and wear my hair, how to behave, how to return love, his way. Over the years, he became my father, husband, and very nearly God." Let's move on to Iacocca, an autobiography about the Italian businessman who helped save Chrysler from bankruptcy. Lee Iacocca was the author, and William Novak was the co-author. This book, published in 1984, was also a successful autobiography. It was the best-selling nonfiction hardcover book of both 1984 and 1985. It starts off with Iacocca narrating his childhood and early life in an honest and sometimes humorous way. Then, he moves on to talking about his time at Ford and at Chrysler in turn. He mentions the ups and the downs, his successes and his failures. The last part of the book is spent on ways to make America great again and resorting to the American values. Yeager is an autobiography by Chuck Yeager and Leo Janus about the man that broke the sound barrier. It was on the bestseller list for over 38 weeks. It incorporates personal accounts from a variety of people, fellow pilots, Yeager's wife, and friends. Yeager's career and revolutionary successes are pieced together throughout the text. Now let's move on to some similarities and differences between these three autobiographies. All three are written with ghostwriters, or professional writers who are paid to help someone with their writing, without getting much credit, if any at all. Each of these autobiographies contains photographs of the author, his or her family, and anything else worth looking at. Perhaps the greatest similarity between all of these works is that they all use profanity. At least a dozen times in each book, foul or vulgar language is used. Some might argue that using such language is honest and adds to the book, but the fact is, profanity was not acceptable in literature until very recently. All of the autobiographies are written in past tense and in first person. Reading through the text, I noticed no split infinitives, though it is possible that I missed a few. A split infinitive is where an infinitive phrase such as "to write" is interrupted with any adjective or adverb such as "quickly." There has been much dispute about the allowance of these in writing. Now they are more widely accepted, though still rare in use. Also, all these autobiographies incorporate many quotes, Elvis and me in particular. Yeager seems to use a lot of onomatopoeias, whereas the other two autobiographies don't seem to as much. Iacocca uses lots of parentheses as a way of adding bits of information here and there. Elvis and me and Yeager, on the other hand, don't. All three texts use abbreviations. In Iacocca, words like TV are abbreviated. In Elvis and me, OK, TV, Hi-Fi, and GI are all abbreviated. In Yeager, aviator jargon is abbreviated. Let's move on to Iacocca, an autobiography about the Italian businessman who helped save Chrysler from bankruptcy. Lee Iacocca was the author, and William Novak was the co-author.
We hope you learned a lot about the year 1985. Thank you for watching.